So what if changing the world wasn't really about fighting against what is old, but instead it was about building something new, right? From the inside out. Today, we're going to dive into this really powerful idea for a kind of personal and collective renewal. It is called a renaissance of hearts and minds. Let's get into what that actually means. You know, the whole journey really kicks off with this one single moment of recognition. It is that little spark of awareness where you realize that your current reality and your potential reality, well, they're two totally different things. It is all about seeing that gap between the world as it is and the much more beautiful world that you know it could be. Okay, so for our first part, we're going to focus right in on this initial awakening. This crucial first step of just observing, of seeing what could be. So this whole thing begins by getting really clear on two different realities. On one hand, you have it is described as a time of anguish, where all you see are these mirrored reflections that just keep you stuck, seeing the same old problems over and over. But then on the other hand, you have the vision of what could be, and that is a total shift. We're talking a revival of beauty, a whole new world to see. Seeing the potential is one thing, right? But how do we actually start building that new reality? The source material is super clear on this. The work has to start from within. And that brings us to our second big idea. First, fill your cup. The very first step inward is to build a foundation of empathy. The text here defines this as the act of seeing everything through the eyes of the beholder. It is about trying to truly understand the world from someone else's perspective, to feel the anguish and the beauty that they feel. Okay, but here is a really, really critical distinction. Empathy is the starting block, for sure, but it is not the fuel for the race. The source makes it a point to say that you just can't create lasting change from a place of shared pain alone. I mean, think about it, that would just burn you out completely. So if empathy isn't the fuel, then what is? Well, we get a pretty clear three-step path. First, you have to consciously turn off the distractions and the negativity, all the stuff that just drains you. Second, you have to actively go out and find happy, joyous moments. And third, and this is key, the goal isn't just to get by. The goal is to fill your cup until it literally overflows, because that overflow, that is the pure love and joy you have to share with the world. And this right here, this shows us the true purpose of all that inner work. It is not selfish at all. It is actually strategic. When your own cup is overflowing with joy and love, that becomes your legacy. It is what you leave behind in your wake. And it effortlessly inspires everyone you come across. Now, this is where the personal really becomes collective. I mean, when one person's cup overflows, that is a powerful thing. But what happens when lots of people start doing it together? Well, let's explore this next idea, weaving a golden thread. I love this metaphor of a golden thread. The idea is that each person who is working from that place of joy and love is basically weaving with this same thread. And when enough people do this, their individual threads start to connect. And what was once just a personal practice, it becomes a collective tapestry, a really powerful, beautiful movement. So what does this collective legacy even look like? Well, it is described as being filled with things like courage and passion. It creates this sense of awe and creation, real wonder and delight in the world. And maybe my favourite part, it represents the art of rediscovered magic. Like we're all returning to a more profound and enchanted way of living. All of this, the inner work, the weaving, it all builds to this final beautiful outcome of the entire process, which the text calls a renaissance of hearts. And this brings us to such a vital insight. This isn't just some abstract idea or a nice poem. For this new reality to become a legacy, for it to be handed down, it has to be lived. It has to be embodied in our actions, in our words, in our very being. That is the only way it works. And there it is. That is the ultimate vision. The whole grand purpose of filling your cup and weaving your golden thread with others. It is all about creating a renaissance of the hearts and minds, this deep internal shift that ultimately creates a new world for absolutely everyone to see and to experience. So in the end, this massive grand vision, it connects right back to each and every one of us, right here, right now. It all starts with a simple personal choice. So this whole journey ends right where it has to begin, with a question for you to think about. What will you do today to fill your cup?